All right, well, welcome back to Carver Clan Travels. And what we're going to do during this video is map out two possible paths that the Oceania 2026 World Cruise might take. All right, and you may say, what do you mean two? Well, there are two possible paths that might occur depending on world events. So let's get into it and see how this plays out. So here's the agenda. I'll start with what's the crux of the problem, what's causing the problem, what the revision possibly might be, do some analysis on that, do a graphical display of what that looks like, and then finish up with a summary. So the crux of the problem is the ongoing conflict that's near the Suez Canal and Red Sea. And Oceania provided some additional guidance on this on June 20th of 2025. And it was a full-size letter. I extracted 3 clauses from it. The first one is that at this time, we, Oceania, fully intend to operate the cruise as published, including a scheduled transit of the Red Sea and Suez Canal in May of 2026, in about a year from now. If the revision does become necessary, they're going to try to make that decision in mid-April while the Oceania Vista is in Australia. And then it finishes up with this idea that your safety is our utmost priority. Well, I agree. My safety should be your utmost priority, and I'm going to respect either decision. I do not want to take a cruise ship into a war zone, and there are at least 3 possible threats. If you look at that area, you've got the ongoing conflict in Israel and Lebanon and that area. You have activities by Yemen, and then the Somali pirates are also operating within that area. So again, I want them to fully evaluate it and make sure that we're going to be safe going through the Suez Canal, and I'd love to see the Suez Canal. My wife would too. So what does this do when you do this revision? Well, it replaces a couple of ports in India, including the Taj Mahal, and it replaces a couple of ports in the Middle East, including Dubai, and it replaces all of Europe, all of the ports that we were going to see in Europe with Africa. So when you look in aggregate, about 72 ports are going to be the same. They're going to cancel 22 ports, and they're going to add 13 ports in based on the letter and the initial guidance they provided. They're going to add 13 ports in as we go around the continent of Africa. Now, this is what it actually looks like, and we're going to start off on the right side of the screen with those black dots in Miami, and we're going to come around South America, come back up to San Diego, that looks to be 24, come across to Hawaii, come down through the South Pacific to Australia, come up, and now we start seeing changes, okay? And so while we're in Thailand, we're going to see this change where if we keep the original itinerary, those red dots are in play. And if we don't, then those red dots get dropped and we pick up the blue dots. The green dots are going to be common ports to both itineraries. And so you can kind of graphically see how this plays out. You come down, you go around Africa, you come back up to Lisbon. From Lisbon, you end up skipping a number of ports that were on the original itinerary and head to Southampton. That's number 3 there. And from Southampton north, it remains the same. In other words, we'll go to Ireland and then go up, hit Iceland, and then come back down the eastern seaboard of the United States back to Miami. So again, this gives you a graphical representation of all the things in black that will stay the same, what the original itinerary was, which is, if you will, the combination of black, red, and green, or the revision, if we can't go through the Suez Canal due to safety reasons, the revision would be the black, green, and blue. showing the different areas. Now, for my wife and I, we've been to Cape Town before, but we haven't been to the other ports in Africa. And so for us, we're excited either way. Okay. And we really mean that either way. You know, part of our personal journey is we lived in Italy for 5 years when we were first married and didn't have any kids. Um, and so we know Europe a good bit, but we originally booked this because of the itinerary, because of all those red dots. But we're going to be happy either way. For other people on the World Cruise, it does make a difference because perhaps they've spent extensive time in Africa, or it's just not an area of interest, and they were really interested in the European part. So as you look at this, I'm really appreciate that they're being transparent. I agree that safety should be the utmost priority. I can understand why different passengers will have a different opinion. And I don't know if the cruise price will be adjusted downward, and if the revision becomes a reality, and if that downward adjustment is going to satisfy everybody's needs. I think either way, it's going to be a once in a lifetime experience as we go around the entire world in 180 days. And so, again, different people are going to react differently, but this gives you some analysis and gives you a pictorial demonstration of what it looks like. So in summary, there exists the potential that the Oceania 2026 World Cruise will have to divert around Africa to avoid ongoing hostilities. They're going to make a decision in mid-April while the World Cruise is in Australia. The diversion would keep 72 ports the same, eliminate 22 ports, and add 13 new ports. And then finally, all of us, safety has to be the utmost priority, and they're going to have to make a decision in April that affects our travel later in May while we're on the World Cruise. All right, well, very good. That brings us to the end of this video where I've talked about mapping out the two different paths that the 2026 World Cruise might take based on world events that are occurring right now in the Red Sea and Suez Canal. I hope this has been helpful for you. If it is, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.